Hello and welcome. We are at lesson 47 today, and the headline is God is the strength in which I trust. What a lesson, am I right? I think the first time I read the text, I was a little bit shocked about all the messages and insights that we are given. And then when I reflected on this more over the last 24 hours, it started to sink in for me a little bit more. Let me share with you what I was thinking. So when you read the first few paragraphs, you think that we have literally no strength. We humans have no strength, and we have to kind of even rely on God for our strength because we are more, weak. That's kind of what it says here, and that we can't really build confidence on ourselves. And it makes complete sense that we are in fear and that we have anxiety and anger and sorrow and so on and so on. And of course, we've talked about this before, that God is the strength that we have and that we can trust in. Of course, that's what we're learning in this lesson. And when I reflected on this more, the first thing that came to my mind is that if we find our true self, then of course we have strength, because then we recognize that God is inside of us, that we are part of God, and therefore then we have access to the strength. And then the second thing that came to me is when it talks about this at the beginning of the text, it probably relates to the ego. And I think that's probably what triggered me at the beginning of reading the lessons and the teachings for the first time. It was my ego, wasn't it? That got, I don't really like this text. I'm not weak. I'm not this and that. It is, of course, first of all, describing the ego if we stay in being and seeing ourselves as the ego and the identity that we created. But then secondly, it of course triggers the ego, right? If we read the text like that, then we're reading it from the ego's perspective of being the ego. So that was my realization over the last 24 hours doing the exercise as well. And reflecting on the text a little bit more, I was like, oh, hang on a minute, that's a reaction typical from the ego, and that's what the lesson and the teachings are talking about, right? I really liked as well the exercise. I didn't have any particular experience with it, but I really appreciate the exercise for giving us that chance and the guidance to try to find that inner peace. And a couple of times I did feel very, very peaceful going through the exercise. I probably would have liked to stay much longer in it than I was able to, but that is practice in itself, right? You need practice with all of this. But yeah, I really loved the exercise as well. Let me know in the comments how you experienced lesson 47. Did you like the exercise? What did you think about the teachings? I would love to hear from you, so let me know in the comments. And I will see you again for lesson 48 tomorrow. Until then,